Hello, 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 everyone. We are back for another edition of Family Finance Friday. And I am stepping in for our esteemed one of one host, Nick Westbrooks. And I am in his stead this evening. You guys know me. I'm Tajir Green, President of International Development here. So super excited to talk to you this Friday evening and really drop the game on you guys about how we go about building community generational wealth. And of course, there wouldn't be a Family Finance Friday without the legendary DJ, the Money Coach. And DJ is here to talk. We're gonna have some conversations, drop some gems for you guys, like always, and really give value on this Friday night to give you some awesome to welcome into your weekend with. So before I bring DJ on, I just want to highlight what you see on the screen is our new website available right now for you to book and have the time of your life with us in Zanzibar. So have the link in the description so you'll be able to live your dreams and have a bucket list experience on the Indian Ocean because you can't beat that. And with that being said, let me introduce the man of the hour, DJ.
What's happening, Tajir? Always, as I always say, any day above ground with your health on Amazing Friday is a great day. And today is a phenomenal day. Thank goodness it's Friday. But today marks a complete 360 because the reason why the amazing, incomparable, unparalleled, non-compromising Nick Westbrooks is not with us is because Nick is the last member of the team. He's on a plane right now to the motherland, to Zanzibar, to take record of our amazing accomplishments and to do what he does for us as a business manager. And on top of that, to actually celebrate his hard work with us from the inception. That's right. Nick, myself, and Renee, we were the original team put together in April of 2020. And Nick has actually been with me since 2019. And like he is always, never complaining, never condemning, never criticizing, unselfish. This man is a servanthood leader. He's at the top of the triangle of leaders. And like always, instead of him putting himself first, he put himself last. And furthermore, he's now the last person on the complete DJ the Money Coach team that's now going to Zanzibar. He's on a plane right now as we speak on his way to Zanzibar. And next Friday, we're going to shoot live with Nick in Zanzibar. So we're extremely happy because this is a very spectacular and time just been too long for this to happen, but it's happening, guys. So that's kind of long-winded. So we want to just show you guys why we do this. And this is the epitome of how to build community generational wealth, because Nick understands it as a student, how we all come together and actually put forth our best foot, which is investing, sacrificing, and staying 100% within our community so that we can look up and we can have a future for the future. And Nick is preparing the road for his grandchildren's grandchildren by making this first pilgrimage to the motherland. And here's the great thing about it. This is his first leap out of the US of A. And what better way to go to the motherland? That's tip number one, is that when we travel for the first time outside of this amazing corporation called the United States of America, we ought to go back to the motherland. And a lot of people, they celebrate their religion and they take pilgrimages to what they think is the motherland, but that's not necessarily the true place where they came from, but that's another story. So with that said, we want to introduce to you guys, ladies and gentlemen, our official website, Escape to Zanzibar. And Escape to Zanzibar will show you all the beautiful destinations, locations that we have, that we started putting together in December of 2021. And now it is here in full bloom for you to enjoy and partake. And here's the greatest thing about that, ladies and gentlemen, is that over the past 12 months, and specifically over the last 3 months, we always have people reaching out to us because they know we've been to Zanzibar a ton of times. And nobody's been there more than Tajir and myself on our team. But it always amazes me that when they reach out to us, they expect us to refer them to some other place in Zanzibar, except for referring them to us. And that's really the basis of how you create community generational wealth. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. If you wanted an amazing car and you knew the Ford family and you reached out to them and said, hey, Tajir, can you recommend to me the best car to drive and where I should go purchase it? 99.9999 199%. What should they tell them, Tajir?
They should go tell them to go purchase a car from somebody that's in their network if they don't themselves have cars available to sell.
And what that would be is, guess what? My great friend, my great colleague, my great peer, I have a whole slew of cars you can buy in the Ford family and the Ford family only. From economy to midsize to full size to luxury to coupes to convertible to electronic vehicles to hybrids to trucks to double dualies to diesel, all within the Ford family. And I'll be more than happy to refer you to one of our esteemed dealerships. Because guess what? That's how Henry Ford has created and will always have an empire worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. You will never find a person in the Ford family or even the person in the Ford lineage that may have married into the Ford family ever recommending to you any other car other than what Ford owns under the Ford name or Ford owns under other company names that people don't know that Ford owns. What do I mean? Well, if you don't know, Ford used to own Jaguar. Ford used to own Mazda. So there's certain cars that have different names but are still owned by Ford, and those are the only cars that they would ever recommend for you. And here's the number one reason, beside the point that it would keep their empire strong for generations to come. The other message, which is the most compelling message, is that if they refer you to Buick, or God forbid you saw them driving a Buick, what message would that convey to you, Tajir?
That would convey that if I have Fords and I refer you to go and get a Buick, that means that I think my own vehicles that I produce are subpar and that Buick has the better deal. So to you, you're going to automatically go, okay, going forward, I'm never buying a Ford again. I'm going to always go with Buick, because if you told me to go with them and you make cars, then that means they must be better than you at the very least.
Exactly. So that subtle message would tell them that the best vehicle is the one that Mr. Ford is driving. And if Mr. Ford is driving the Buick, that's all you need to say. So these are some of the things that we don't realize that prevents us from building community generational wealth. And it's so subtle, but it's so dangerous to our community. And unfortunately, Tajir, and unfortunately, family, we do this all the time, and we don't even think twice about it because subconsciously we have been indoctrinated into a system that projects that we're not the best of the best, albeit when we are the best of the best, because nobody on the planet can sell or market better than us. Now, you might be saying right now, DJ, that is a very pompous and arrogant statement. Okay, well, I'll put it to the challenge. How did you even know about TikTok? How did you even know about the Clubhouse? How did you know about red bottom shoes? How did you know about IG? And when I'm asking you the question, how did you know? I'm saying when it began to explode. You knew because you saw somebody like you who was an influencer doing some amazing things on those platforms. Thus, you felt you needed to get involved. And then it became the most popular, fastest growing platform. Thank you from us to them for free. And that's how you know we are the number one marketers and advertiser of any product and service on the planet. It's not even close. So we're quick to find something that's sexy, cool, and first ever to own as consumers, that we go get it, we share it with our homeboys, we share it with our girlfriends, it spreads like wildfire. Next thing you know, everybody's got it. And then the hard thing happens where we get heartbroken. We become distraught because we didn't know the value of us jumping on this apparatus or purchasing this product until all of a sudden it blew up. Now we expect that proprietor, that multinational company, to compensate us for giving them a free ride. But conversely, Tajir, when it comes to us, if we're building it, if we're making it, if we're servicing it, our people fall into three categories. Number one, we have the elite of us. And these are the people who are highly educated. They go to the top schools. They get the best jobs. And everything that they do has to be a certain perfection, a certain prestige. And since they have been indoctrinated to get fortunate to get in to what they perceive to be the best universities built by the other people, they get the best jobs built by the other people. And to get those best opportunities, they have to be perfect. I mean, pristine. They have to speak extremely well. They have to have great posture. They have to be clean. They have to be non-threatening. And they have to be almost robotic in their approach as they walk through life, because they know subconsciously they're not afforded the same honest mistakes as their counterparts. Thus, they start to take on this image as we're the special chosen ones, i.e., the talented 10th. And now we are accepted into the other community, not knowing that we are the best of the best in the whole wide world. And now they shower us with praise, give us monies that nobody else that look like them has ever been. And they always are so proud, Tajir, to say this one phrase: I'm the first Black, fill in the blank. Now, that person, when they see you and you're building a product a service, a platform. Your product, your service, your platform has to be even more perfect than they are. It can't have any snags, any scratches, any dents, any wrinkles. Because if it does, they're projecting their insecurities onto you. Thus, they want to minimize it and diminish it immediately. So that's group number one. And that group gets group number two. What is group number two? That is the middle class. They're aspiring to be group number one. They even have what's called the upper middle class. And they too sometimes get fortunate to get chosen to go to these schools, get scholarships, get opportunities that most of them don't. And they're constantly aspiring to be like group number one. Now, the difference between them and group number one is people in group number one category, they are already multi-generational elite. So they're born into the talented 10th. The middle class person is coming generally first time, maybe second time, and they don't have the hard assets for 2 to 3 generations. They're usually starting to be the first to get free and start to live a little bit of the American dream. And as they're starting to expound to do that, they may have come from lesser circumstances. They may have come from a broken family. They may have come from a rural community. You understand what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? So they have a little bit of self-doubt, even though they're rising up the ladder. So they're not as judgmental towards someone like themselves that are building their own business, their own service, or their own platforms, because they automatically know they were just that, or they still on the cusp of being that by any little hiccup. Does that make sense, ladies and gentlemen? And so that has its own conundrum of problems in and of itself, right? So then you have group number 3. This is the group that's generally dealt a bad hand right out the gate. Maybe grew up in abject poverty. Maybe grew up with a parentless home. Maybe immediately got into some trouble and they already started down, the institution that makes more money off of our men than anybody in the world. So they're what they call very rough around the edges. And they are the ones that, because they are not accepted and looked upon, with any regard or any respect by the middle class and the elite class, they become what they call hustlers. And they, by necessity, they start to hustle. And they find any ways necessary to make a buck. So what happens, they become successful because they're not devoid of talent. They're not devoid of skills. And amazingly, Tajir, they're actually super intelligent. A lot of times they're more innately intelligent than the middle class and the elite, that they are so industrious, they're able to make something out of nothing. And when they get rolling, they blow up and make a lot of money. But most of the times they make money in bad industries that are not dignified, but they create massive success. And now you would think, and I'm not talking about anything illegal, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just talking about something that was frowned upon. Let me give you an example. let's just say they parlay their skill sets into gambling. Now, we all know prior to online gambling and these betting agencies that's been blowing up over the last 5 years, gambling was frowned upon, and it was only legal in 2 states. That's Nevada, and Atlantic City is in New Jersey, right?
Yep, that's New Jersey.
Yeah, so there were only 2 states. They become very successful in those industries, and guess what? People don't want to be associated with that because they know that gambling is one of the 7 sins, one of the 7 deadly sins. So they make a lot of money, and they basically magnify what they are. You think that as they make the money, they would try to become more polished, more formal, more fitting in to the middle class. And if they make elite money, they would start to become very well-spoken. They would wear Brooks Brothers suits or have, Chanel and, wear those type of clothing. They actually don't. They go in the reverse, and they magnify what people would say a hood lifestyle, and people don't want to be associated with that. And even though they have more money, more successful business, they are looked down upon. So thus, it's very impossible for them to have sustainable community generational wealth. And that person will not ever do well with the other 2 unless they trip up and get cast out of their caste. Do they even intersect with those individuals? Do you understand what I'm saying? So now you have 3 different groups competing against each other instead of working together to compete against the other competitor. And we can never create community generational wealth. And guess what? The other competitors know this, and they conversely do just the opposite. Think about that. Let's take them to the video, and I'm going to plug in my computer before I lose battery.
I got you.
It's official. We're in business, guys. All right. Here's where we do it at, baby. Cooperative economics. What's happening, everybody? This is DJ the Money Coach coming to you live January 17th, 2024. And history has already been recorded. That's right. We just opened up a 220-unit luxury residential resort in Zanzibar. We also are completing 4 luxury townhouses in Zanzibar. And we're also going to open up the POM POM Lifestyle Resort in Zanzibar. It's Africans for Africans, supported by Black Americans unapologetically. So what time is it? The POM POM Lifestyle movement can't be stopped. Hit the link. Join us on the Beaches World in Zanzibar. Home is ours. Peace. All right. So now let's jump in to talking about how to build community generational wealth. And you can take the website off the screen. Matter of fact, want to do this? Scroll down, just give them a preview of what the website looks like. Let's show them how they can actually book a beautiful trip with us right now, ladies and gentlemen. We're open for business. And this is the way you begin building community generational wealth. And check this out, guys. Here's the amazing thing about our community that we used to build by default. We were forced to build community generational wealth when we had segregation, we had Jim Crow, and we had us coming out of slavery. Once the Emancipation Proclamation began, we had to live in our own communities. Thus, we had to work exclusively with our own people. And amazingly, that forced us to create community generational wealth. There was no option that you could go do business with anybody else. And ironically, that was the best thing ever happened to us. But unfortunately, we start feeling inadequate because we start buying into the propaganda machine that said, you know what? The best thing for us is integration. And if we can live in the other community, we will be more considered as equal. But here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. We live in a just world, an equity world, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news. There's no such thing as equality as it pertains to building community generational wealth. Let me tell you another secret. When you say that's not fair, or please be fair to me, us, or whatever, the only fair is where you go to win games and prizes, because that's what fairs are, or a fair is where you see pigs get slaughtered. Because the only fair in that regard is that you're asking somebody who owns the institution, owns the business, owns the service, i.e. owns the platform, to give you the same equity as they have from the blood, sweat, and tears, no matter how they came about being the full owner, proprietor, to treat you accordingly. So there's no way they're ever going to be fair to you. So let me tell you this. Stop asking for fairness and start demanding equity and justice. So as it pertains to community generational wealth, there's only one blueprint to follow. It is the blueprint that we were doing in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s prior. And you're not going to like what I'm about to say, but I'm going to tell you the truth. Prior to the civil rights movement. Go back and look at the economic facts. When was Black Wall Street? Prior to the civil rights movement. When was Rosewood? Prior to the Civil Rights Act. When was Inkwell? Prior to the Civil Rights Act. When did that family that owned all of that beachfront property in Southern California, right around Manhattan Beach, become multi-millionaires? Was it before or after the Civil Rights Act? Because then, guess what? Everywhere you look in your community, the doctor looked like you. The dentist looked like you. The electrician looked like you. The carpenter looked like you. The school teachers looked like you. The barber looked like you. The salon looked like you. The cosmetologist looked like you. The esthetician looked like you. The janitor looked like you. The bus driver looked like you. The engineer looked like you. The architect who built the buildings in your neighborhood look like you. The carpenter look like you. The shoesmith look like you. The farmer look like you. The cowboy look like you. The grocery store owner look like you. The gas station owner look like you. And it was customary, even though we had white-collar jobs, blue-collar jobs, technology jobs, everybody looked like you. And each one of those sole proprietors, they traditionally, just like our competitors, they passed on their craft to their son and their daughters automatically, and they had pride in being a small business owner. And amazingly, they start to build community generational wealth. And guess what, guys? I saw it and experienced it growing up. I'm on this I'm on this planet 5 decades. When I grew up in our middle class neighborhood, everybody that I just said looked like me. I didn't really see people like them except on TV. You might find that to be shocking, but I can remember vividly. I lived on a block in Chicago. It was called Low. Our house sat in the middle of the block. To the right of us, we had Mr. and Mrs. Beverly. Miss Beverly was a school teacher. Mr. Beverly was a businessman. They had 2 sons, Ronald and Bill Beverly. And they were 5 and 8 years older than me. To the left, we had the Seawoods, Mr. and Mrs. Seawood. He and his wife were executives, and they had 2 daughters, and they were about 10 years older than me. Exactly across the street from my house, if I stepped out on my porch and looked straight ahead, the house, the biggest house on our block, was the Parkers. And imagine so, Mr. Parker was a bus driver and his wife was a school teacher. Go down a couple of houses to my left were the Bells. You understand what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? Everywhere we look, we would come outside, the school teachers' kids, the bus driver kids, the executive kids. We all played together. You would go 8 blocks down and there was our school. Now I'll take this back. I stand corrected. Let me stand corrected. My school was a Catholic school. My Catholic school had people that were of the Caucasian persuasion. The nuns and the priest were Caucasian, and a handful of the nuns and the priests looked like me. Those were the only people that I interact with on a day-to-day basis during school time. Now, conversely, we had a public school, and it was all black teachers, black principals, black secretaries, black administrators, and black janitors. But my parents thought it was better for my sister and I to go to the Catholic school. But albeit, again, everybody in my community, a strong, solid, middle class, moving up to an upper class community, looked like us. Everybody at the grocery stores, everybody at the barbershops, everybody at the gas stations. And I used to remember this vividly. My grandmother lived with us. And my grandmother was a cigarette smoker. And you know what my grandmother used to do? My grandmother used to give me a note and some money and send me up to Clark gas station on Halsted Street. Can you imagine that? She would send a kid with a note and some money to say, Mr. Smith, who is the proprietor of the Clark gas station, give my grandson a pack of Cools with her signature. And I would pay for it and either ride my bike or walk back home. Now, you guys who are in my age, you'll remember that stuff. Our baseball fields all look like us, because when I grew up, baseball was the number one sport in our community. I grew up, my childhood years were in the 70s and the early 80s. And when I mean childhood, I mean from 9 to 13 or 14. So my park that I played at was called Roseland, and it was all black. Imagine that. All of our coaches were black men and some were black women. Even the households, ladies and gentlemen, who had single parents, the single mom, which was very rare in our community, she could still send her son to be coached, mentored every day easily by a black, solid male. What is the norm today? Every super athlete, majority of them, I'm not going to generalize this, but so I'm going to say the majority of them, unfortunately, that come from single family homes, what does their coach generally look like, especially in football? I'll give you 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count. It's usually a white man trying to be the coach and then become the surrogate and say, I'm going to raise you up and replace the father figure in your house. And they generally will come sit down in your home and talk to your single mom and say, hey, you know, Betty, Wilma, I'm going to help DJ become a successful grown man because he has this great talent to run the football, hit the baseball, shoot the basketball. Now, let's be truthful here. That man has great intentions, but that man's primary incentive to father your son is only for one reason: to get every bit of his talent out of him to make his school, his organization, the number one in the district, the community, the region, so he can be glorified and he can be donned with bigger and better opportunities. Now, let's flip the script on that. Today's show on Family Finance Friday with DJ the Money Coach is how to build community generational wealth. Now, that young man, now he has the handler. The handler may get him in middle school. He gets him and gets him conditioned that your father figure looks like me, not like you. So now that kid, he don't take the average kid. He's not going to waste his time with him or her. Let's be honest. You know why? He has an economic incentive only to work with the best of us because his job is dependent on it. It does not matter if he is an educator, he has a college degree, and he has a job during the daytime to educate people. His real job is to put people in the seats and win championships, state championships, regional championships, national championships. And he gets paid a lot of money to do that. And he will always dangle this carrot over your mother. I'm going to get Tajir into college and he's going to get a free education. And while he gets that free education, we're going to use him up. And not only are we going to use him up, we're going to start conditioning him with self-hatred. We're going to put him around our family. And we're going to get him used to liking women that don't look like him. And especially don't look like his mother. And it's going to become his norm. So he's going to polish him up, pass him on to the high school coach, put in a good word for him. And he's going to always tell Tajir, hey, man, you're lucky. I could be working with anybody like you. So if you mess up, Tajir, or give me some problems, I'm going to stop giving you the benefit of my hard time and my access to my network and put a good word into you for you. Does this sound familiar, ladies and gentlemen? Or am I just making this up? So you said, DJ, how does that relate or coincide with building community generational wealth? Well, I thought you would never ask. So now Tajir, he's the number one performer in football, baseball, basketball, track. The Olympics was just on, were they not?
Correct.
Who do you see 95% of the time as the coach, the trainer, the advisor to the elite of the elite black athlete? The Olympics is the best in the world representing their countries. Every time they take a shot and show you their coach, their advisor, their trainer, they don't look like us. And here's the conundrum. When we see that they actually have a black advisor, a black trainer, a black coach, we're almost shocked. Let's tell the truth. Shame the devil. And when they do have that black coach, that black trainer, that black advisor, 9 out of 10 times, they used to be a superstar themselves. You ever heard of this lady named Jackie Joyner Kersee? Do you not know that her husband is Bob Kersee? Track athlete, married to a superstar legend, Jackie Joyner Kersee. Wait a minute. Even their sister-in-law was Florence Griffith Joyner, married to Jackie Joyner Kersee's brother. So when you see McLaughlin Leveron being coached by Kersee, it's no coincidence. She's being coached by the best of the best. However, let's turn that upside down. And again, DJ, how does this tie into how to build community generational wealth? We always work with the counterpart who's most of the time never played at the highest level, but somehow, miraculously, they are the most qualified to teach you how to get to the highest level, but they may have only played at the state level. They may have only played at the junior high level, but they became this amazing coach, especially in football. And we accept it because you have been put through their funnel. We're the experts. We got all of this, and you got all of that. And just like a wild Mustang, we have to tame you and domesticate you to make you able to be successful, even though we never played. But again, DJ, you haven't got to how that builds community generational wealth. Well, it's so obvious that it's gone over your head, but I'll break it down for you. So now, Tajir, he gets the scholarship to college. Instead of him going to the historically black college and university, he goes to the predominantly white institution. You know why? Because they give more money. They got more equipment. They got better trainers. They got better this, better that. And I need to have the best of the best. Why would I go to a historically black college or university and play in a mediocre system? But there's a coach named Coach Eddie Robinson. Legend. He put more black college football players in the National Football League than anybody over the 5 decades he coached. If I'm not mistaken, at Jackson State University. Until Bear Bryant, who was an abject racist, this is only facts, baby. Until Bear Bryant, who publicly said, I would never have a Negro running the ball for me. He couldn't even shine my shoes. But one game, late into Bear Bryant's career, they got dusted by a black team. And all of a sudden, it wasn't a historically black college or university. It was another predominantly white institution that had about 5 or 6 brothers in the key skill positions, and they whooped their ass. And just out of greed and competitive to keep the shine on his legacy, did he start recruiting black athletes. And now, fast forward, who ran the most successful college football program in the history of college sports? What's his name? Nick Saban. And where do all the Negroes, the big country strong Negroes parents send them to? Nick Saban. Is Nick Saban a genius? No. You know what Nick Saban was a genius at? Recruiting you, who was put in the system at middle school to high school to college, to tell you, hey, y'all wonder why I wear these championship rings? Because that bling, it gets you off in the ether, and you are now striving for what I call the BBD, the bigger, better deal. And you now want these because these translate to this. And Nick Saban is a great salesman. He was a great salesman, and he used to be a salesman like a used car salesman. Why do I say that? Because I've followed his career. He used to be a coach in the Big Ten. He used to be a coach in the Mid-Valley Conference. These are smaller conferences. So he started to get a little success when he was at Michigan State. He didn't win no national championships, but he won a conference. He got him to a bowl game. And then Nick got smart because Nick wanted to be legendary. He said, you know what? All I got to do is recruit more Negroes. And guess what? The most prominent Negroes for football, they come out of 3 states. You know who those states are, Tajir? Texas, Florida, California. Why is that? Because those are warm states and they play football all year round. Nick's in the Midwest. What is the Midwest common for? Cold ass weather. Snow, ice. You got to be tough. And Nick just did the numbers. And again, DJ, how does this relate to building community generational wealth? Well, I'm just telling you, study the facts. Nick did the research. He looked at the numbers, the data, the analytics before they even called it analytics. And he said, wait a minute. Bear Bryant won 6 or 7 national championships. And the majority of Bear Bryant's championships, he had the majority of Negroes in the skilled positions. He wouldn't let them play quarterback, but he didn't have a problem having playing running back. He didn't have a problem playing receiver. And he damn sure didn't have a problem playing the rushing in to be the defensive tackle of the pass rusher, because they were the most athletic. To him, they were the most rough and hard, and they were not, to him, intellectually skilled, but they could carry that ball and get beat up because they were getting beat up in the hood. So they might as well get a little education out of it, and I can get more rings. More rings bring more money. More money bring more athletes. You understand? So more of their institutions create generational wealth in their community because you're not taking their money out of their community to your community. And their athlete, quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, they're not marrying your women. So now they're not having your children, and your children aren't keeping their wealth in our community. Now flip that, and now let me show you lots that now Saban, he says, hold up, LSU, that's in the South. They said, Nick, you got some shine, baby. Come on down here. Saban goes down to LSU. He wins a national championship with a running back and a defense with a piss poor quarterback. And now Bear Bryant is ready to retire. And guess what Nick Saban does? Even though he just made a national championship and make LSU legendary, he takes a quick dip in the pool and he goes to coach the Miami Dolphins. And since these Negroes in the pros don't see him as a father figure, they didn't listen to him. They said, dude, I make more money than you. You can't take my scholarship, so get your sales Carmen ass out of here. We ain't gonna produce for you. So Nick abruptly, like a used car salesman, he lied. He lied to LSU, said he wouldn't leave. Then he bounced over to Miami, couldn't cut the mustard because he wasn't built like that to actually coach real grown ass men. He could coach big ass boys who look like grown men because he had something that they had to get, scholarship. There was no money that they can get. So Nick, in his diminutive size, about 5'6", he was able to lord over them. What does that sound like, Tajir? Does that sound familiar?
Highly.
What did he learn from his ancestors?
He learned this is how you keep them in constant submission and servitude to you, get them something that they need, cut them off from their communities, and dangle the carrots in front of them and make yourself be the bling and the figure of opulence, and they will be in your servitude forever.
Yeah, so all he did, ladies and gentlemen, he put a different bow in a different package that once was plantation slavery, that once was sharecropping, once was Jim Crow, and he made it a plantation called college football system, the FBS. So now he tries to do Miami with the pros, doesn't work. He jettisons in the middle of the season. You think that's somebody that you should be following? And he gets the dream job of a lifetime, hired at Alabama. And in Alabama, boy, oh, roll tide, roll tide. He can talk better than most. He can sit in a room with that single parent. And even when it's a two-parent household, he don't even talk to the father. He knows the person who dictates where that son is going, because they baby mamas. He talks right to the mother. You know, Mel Bay, we're going to take care of little Bubba here. Little Bubba, he going to get the best college scholarship, and he going to be able to one day make, good money as a pillar in society. I can't guarantee that little Bubba here, even though he's 6'5", 340, they're going to play in the NFL. But then again, and he don't even have to say nothing. Just like me, he just have his rings on. We did win the national championship last year. And we do happen, and this is when he gets with the statistics. Now, I can't guarantee Big Bubba, little Bubba here, going to play in the NFL, but 64% of our other little Big Bubbas, they right now play on Sunday. I'm just saying, Mel Bear, if you want him to have a chance to go and get a good scholarship and become a pillar in society, and he might just happen to be one of those 64%ers, you might want to roll tide. And guess what? When he on that trip with him, he got Becky and Karen, Because when you make that visit to the campus, he don't show you Shaniqua and Yolanda. He had you had that visit with Becky, Angie, Karen, and he have Tom and Biff, and then he'll have, Pookie Ray, his other prize possession, with draping with some bling bling to take you on a campus tour. And guess what they got? They got a bunch of Beckys around them. So now, little Bubba, he gets to his junior year, he's smashing everything. Nick Saban winning another championship. And now at the draft day, little Bubba, he's sitting in the corner at the table with Mill May. And maybe Big Bubba Sr.'s there. But who's sitting right beside him? Becky Pinktoe. And he gets drafted because that's a requirement. And if you don't think I'm making this shit up, just go back and look at the last draft where it became a meme. African football players, all their family, and one Becky sitting right there holding on to their arm. The regular black kid, Bubba, all their family, one little Becky sitting right there at side. So here's how community generational wealth is stopped immediately in his tracks. He gets drafted, immediately he's married, he's having multiple babies. And there goes his wealth into the other community forever. And it don't just happen in the athletic community. It happens in the entertainment community, and it happens in the C-suite community as well. So even though we make all this money, they marry, the money's gone. So one-time generational wealth, but they have multi-generational community wealth. Now, conversely, let's flip the script. You're not going to see Bo Nix, who's drafted by the Broncos, who went to Auburn, who transferred to Oregon. Everybody in the sucker look like Bo Nix. His Becky is Becky. Ain't Shaniqua. Ain't Shakari. Becky like she's supposed to be. Becky and Bo. You see Travis Kelce get drafted. He got Karen. Karen looked like him. Now they still get married young because they creating community generational wealth. Now, let's fast forward. We're building businesses. We're building services. We're building platforms. And we start to get a little successful. You may even patronize some of our stuff every now and then, Damon John. They get successful. What they do? They replace the sister with Sally, Eddie Murphy. And what does that beautiful blonde young lady job? What's her job, Tajir?
Go in, get married, have some children, and extract the wealth. So she went from being a lot of the times lower class, or maybe even upper class, to now upper class because she just got the 200 million that you made.
And guess what their justification always is? The reason why I got together with them, because they used to be in these rooms with the executives. Because the executives look like us, and they know how to talk their language. And it's just so easy for me to have a life after my professional sports because Susan over here, she knows how Bob speaks because she was raised in a Bob environment. And it makes it easier for Bob to not be afraid of me at 6'5", 350 pounds. And Bob will now see my brain versus my brawn because Susan here eases his tension of a big brawn black man. How to build community generational wealth. So it happens in the regular world. Now, I gave you some extremes, but they're all factual, and go fact check me. In our regular world, on IG, on TikTok, on Clubhouse, on YouTube, whatever the platform. Now, here's the conundrum. The elite person, they're approached by the middle class person. They have a pretty good concept. They were extremely successful in corporate America, and now, just like the other person, they want to venture out and start their own business. And the first person they go to talk to is the elite person, because we all know people in every one of those three categories. Because we are in one of those three categories. So we reach up and we say, hey, Dr. Smith, I'm DJ middle class. I just started this business called the 7 Spheres of Money. And I worked in corporate America beside people like you, Dr. Smith, that didn't look like you. And most of my clients, when I had a boss, looked like you. And I made my client and my boss millions of dollars. And then one day I woke up and I said, why not me? Why not now bet on me? And naively, I thought that I would be supported by us, Dr. Smith. And I put together a nice business plan. I put together a nice system. Now, one thing is, I don't have the resources that my counterpart, because I'm first generation. I had to pay for my college. I had to take on $60,000 worth of debt. My mother and father didn't have the luxury of buying me my house, paying for my college to take the stress off of me, and all I had to do is focus on my academics or my athletics. So I had to scuffle and struggle to put a little bit of money aside, pay off my debt, but I was more successful in corporate America than my counterpart who was given their first house. Nothing wrong with it. Who didn't have any debt. But in corporate America, in the same job, does this sound familiar, guys? I wiped the floor with him. I wiped the floor with her. Matter of fact, my boss, in audacity, and the fact, here's again where fair doesn't count. What's the name up on the marquee? Be it Allstate, be it State Farm, be it Merrill Lynch, be it Goldman Sachs. The name on the marquee ain't yours. So if Mr. Sachs says, DJ, I want you to train my nephew, Biff. Biff graduated from community college. I know, DJ, you graduated with honors from Harvard Business School, but I need you to take Biff under your wing. He went to, community college. We had him in boarding school. He failed out. We couldn't do legacy. He just couldn't cut the mustard. But he got one thing you don't have, DJ. His last name is Sachs. And DJ, I want Biff to learn from the best. And you are the best at our company in this department. So DJ, I'm going to pay you a little extra to let Biff run with you, train with you, apprenticeship under you. And guess what, DJ? He going to replace you. Now, they may not talk that way right now in 2024, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Now, DJ, if you don't want to do that, DJ, let the door hit you with a good Lord split you, because somebody in this company is going to train Biff Sachs. How to build community generational wealth. So now, DJ says, I appreciate the opportunity, Mr. Sachs, but it would be very hard for me, respectfully, Mr. Sachs. And DJ is being very professional and very respectful. DJ is pissed off inside. He's on fire. But what DJ is not going to do is act the way Mr. Sachs expects him to act, because DJ's smarter than that. DJ knows that his father fought for his freedom, and his father has taught him, don't respond the way they want you to respond. Be cerebral, because it's going to have your upcomings and your comeuppance at one point in time. So DJ said, hey, Mr. Sachs, I appreciate your offer. So I'm going to respectfully say thank you, but no thank you. And I'm going to hand in my resignation because DJ knew this day was coming. So DJ put aside a couple of his shekels and start being conservative and living underneath his means and was prepared for this day. And DJ's beloved wife was a Proverbs 31 woman, and she said, when you need to pull that trigger, I'm with you, honey. So DJ goes out, starts his little business. He collected his, network of people because he got a good name in the marketplace. And he started putting a little something together, start creating a little bit of success. But DJ had to have all his shekels just to open up his shingle. And unfortunately, DJ applied for a loan and the bank wouldn't give him no money. But the bank give him a car loan, bank give him a mortgage loan, but the bank won't give him the loan that's the most important, how to build community wealth generationally loan. Because the bank knows that he don't need DJ competing with him. So now DJ has got a, few good clients. He eclipsed 6 figures. He's got a little pride, but he's got a little pain as well. Because the other counterpart is just gliding through. So DJ says, you know what? I know a couple of doctors. I know a couple of engineers that look like me. I know a couple of software guys that look like, I even know a couple of financiers that look like me. And you know what DJ does? He gives them a professional invitation. And he says to him, hey, could you just come and give me your opinion about what I'm doing? And he knows that it's not going to look as shiny as what they're accustomed to, but he hopes that they can get past that and they can look at the actual stake and the foundation that he's building. He hopes that they can look past the fact that he was number one in their company and he needs a fair shake just like they do. And he hopes that they will not look down their nose to him and they'll say, hey, you know what? 80% of your stuff is on point. 80% of your stuff is working. And if we would just support you and bring some of our shekels together, you can be successful and we can collectively together build community generational wealth. But here's what generally happens. Dr. Smith, Dr. Williams, Financier Johnson, they are looking for the imperfections in DJ's aesthetically so that they can say no. They don't really look at the hard facts that DJ has got a captivated demographic market, that DJ has created 6 figures and he's on the track to massive success. And if all he had was some resources financially and some people can open up some other doors, he could compete in the whole market and make millions of dollars. But what they'll do is say, oh, you know what? Your website was down for 5 seconds. Never mind if Facebook website goes down, IG goes down, Google gets hacked, Wells Fargo gets hacked. They don't say nothing about that. But when yours have a little snags, or you know what, DJ, your video is grainy. Your audio just don't, you know what? We don't do PowerPoints no more. We use Canva. They find every excuse not to support DJ. But those same people will call you up and say, hey, DJ, would you better refer me to a guy that builds resorts that I can stay at, that I can travel? They don't expect DJ to say, come stay with mine, come use mine. They expect DJ to cut off his nose, spite his face, kill his family's income and their potential community wealth and say, yeah, you know, Dr. Smith, that Marriott right there up on the high hill with the 5-star rating, they got great service. Matter of fact, I even know the general manager. I'll put a good word in it and I'll even get you a discount. If I'm lying, I'm flying. Now, conversely, On the other side, they live together. They pull all their money together. Matter of fact, I'll tell you factually, Eastern Indians, I know a lot of them, have a lot of great friends. What are they known for? They known for owning what? Gas stations, convenience stores, low brand hotels and motels. You know what their model for community generational wealth is? They have a thing called a consortium. Their best of the best come over here from India. They are sponsored. They pull together 100,000, 200,000, 400,000. They've been saving this up for decades, and they send the best of theirs over here. First generation, or what they call first off the boat. Correct me when I'm lying. They pop up. I remember this. I had an Indian friend. His name was AJ Singh, S-I-N-G-H. I'm in my first job. We're working in a call center at Montgomery Wards, where they did their auto club department. I'm doing that while I'm going to school. AJ rolls up in a Lexus. AJ is one of the worst people at the job. He gets the job from his cousin. Her name is like Paritha. She's the manager over the call center. AJ just screwing around. We get to know each other because they're appropriating our culture. What do I mean? What music was AJ listening to? Soul, R&B. I wasn't a big hip hop head. I'm from Chicago. House music. AJ's listening to the kind of music that I listen to. He's appropriating the culture. He's trying to speak the slang, but I corrected him on that. But other than that, he was a good kid. So we got to know each other. We got tight. We started hanging out. Got to know his family. Found out his family was first off the boat. He was first generation born in America. Family told us how they came here. So AJ, even though he was screwing up, guess what he did? He went off to optometry school and became an optometrist. And then he had to sponsor his cousin and brought them over. Now I started becoming successful working in another industry, and then I meet my best friend. His name is Munish Invartica. And he's a software engineer from Canada. And he tells me how they sponsored their way in from India to Canada to Chicago, how he became an engineer at Motorola. His brother became an attorney and a big shot lobbyist in Capitol Hill. I have intimate experience. And then I come down, start my first business in the bill pay world, and I start needing to put my machines into convenience stores. So I meet a guy named Hector, who's Salvadorian, and Hector tells me he's leasing from a guy named Sammy. Guess what? Sammy's Indian. Sammy owns the whole business park. Sammy's cool as hell. Sammy likes my kiosk. Sammy introduces me to the consortium. I'm going to say that again. Sammy likes me. He introduced me to the consortium and the whole community. And he vouches for me. They don't even let people like us get inside the consortium because they know they are not our friends in that regard. We're the competition. But guess what? I had something none of them had. And Sammy and I and Hector were cool. So Sammy said, hey, man, I'm not like them. I'm going to endorse you, DJ, and I'm going to get your machines in all of these stores. And Sammy told me how they put the consortium together. Man, here we go right here. Put the big screen on if you think I'm lying. Put the big screen on. This is their first inaugural conference. Can you see that? GHRA. What year does that say, Tajir?
2011.
13 years ago, the first inaugural conference, I had exclusively the only person that looked like you and me that they allowed to be a vendor in their consortium because I had something they didn't have, a bill payment machine. This conference is now the largest conference in the United States. And they told me how they do everything. So guess what? I end up getting contracts with over 60 different convenience stores. Gas stations, convenience stores. Sammy put my machines in his deli, down in the Galleria. If I'm lying, check the facts. And I sat back for a good 6 years and saw them bring in relative after relative, give them the worst gas station, the worst convenience store. And guess where those gas stations and convenience stores just happen to be at, Tajir?
In our neighborhoods, of course.
In our neighborhoods. And in 2 to 5 years, Tajir, that person who came off the boat, who had nothing, becomes a millionaire, have a wife, have 4 or 5 kids, building community, generational wealth. And guess what? They're not marrying Becky's. They're not marrying Karen's. Now, 1 out of 1,000 may be a rebel, but they do planned marriages. And if you do that, you are cut off. You become what's called persona non grata. Now, let's show you what our fellow Mexicans do. Salvadorians. The people from Costa Rica, Belize, Ecuador. You know what they do? They're not as educated as the Eastern Indians that come over here. They come across the border. They swim across the Rio Grande. They climb over the walls. You know what they do? I live in a gated community. A nice gated community. It says no signs, no solicitation. You know what they do? They figure out, just like insects, how to get under the gates and come up, knock on your door. And you know what they offer? To cut your grass, to clean your driveway, to rake your leaves. And you, because, and I'm talking about us. Oh, that's beneath me. I'm not going out there and raking no grass. I ain't going out there cutting no grass. I ain't going out there doing no power washing. That's beneath me. But what's our man name? Tell him, Tajia. Tell him the story about our man that we just talked to about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Tell him the story, Tajia.
So, all right, you guys.
Yeah, tell him his first name.
So we get on the phone with this guy named Ricardo, right?
But tell him how did you get on the phone with him?
Oh, yeah. Well, we got on the phone with him because he just did exactly what DJ talked about. Came, found a way under the fence, and solicited in a non-soliciting neighborhood to cut some grass. Now, DJ's in the neighborhood. He says, okay, you know what? Screw it. You can cut this little part right here, right? So he does a crappy job. But DJ says, you know what? You have tenacity. You're professional. Let's talk. Let's get to know each other a little bit more.
Right? Now stop right there. Now remember the example I gave you, ladies and gentlemen, about DJ trying to get Dr. Smith, Mr. Williams, the engineer, to invest in DJ. But I said because maybe my audio is a little off. Maybe my video is not HD and it's 720. They couldn't see past that. But now DJ is Mr. Doctor and Mr. Engineer. And just like Tajir just said, our man Ricardo, he does a rushed, bad job. But I can see beyond that. Finish the story, Tajir.
So DJ approaches young Ricardo and says, hey, see what you're doing. You did a bad job, but I see the tenacity in what you're trying to do and trying to make an honest living, let's talk about creating a business out of this. So Cardo immediately, hey, yeah, of course, I'm super interested in all the opportunity. Let's get on the phone. Let's talk. Let's do all the things. I need to grow. I need to do everything.
Now, why is he interested to talk to me? Why? What does he know about me on the surface that I have?
Well, first of all, he know you owns a home. Second, he knows you're a business owner.
And he's in a gated community with a bunch of expensive homes.
Right. You know you must gotta have something if you in this community.
Thank you very much. So finish the story. Yeah.
So gets on. He's super excited. He's so amped up. And so we talk to him. We like, hey, Ricardo, you know, what's going on? What kind of equipment and stuff do you have? He goes into detail about how he has all of this equipment worth about, you know, what was it, about $60,000 to $70,000 worth of equipment. And I'm saying to myself,
how old is Ricardo?
He is 23.
22.
Yeah.
Tell him how many clients he got and how short of a time he got it.
22 years old. And in 2.5, 3 months, he had 70-something clients.
70-something clients. And what did Ricardo say about school?
Oh, you know, I knew that school wasn't really my thing. I wasn't really book smart, but I knew that I just needed to make money and I could cut this grass and do this stuff. So I just said, hey, I'm going to focus on this and I will do this.
And guess what? His father taught him. His uncle helped him out. He went and worked with his father's brother for about a couple of years and cut his teeth. And his uncle said, now, Ricardo, I'm letting you on your own. Guess what? Ricardo already got a girlfriend that he's going to marry. Ricardo, not formally educated, but business educated, he's already going to be on his way in 5 years to be a millionaire. What's the topic today? How to build community generational wealth. And we will look down our nose at Ricardo, but he's making more money than you in the future.
Facts.
He come in the neighborhood, Ricardo, whatever, Jose, Jesus. I've been living in my community at least 15 years, ladies and gentlemen, and I've seen at least 10 of them show up with one lawnmower, raggedy car. 5 years later, they got the big old 1-ton dualies, trailers, the riding motor, all off, knocking on one door. And because I live in a community with a bunch of successful professionals, they were able to go literally from rags to riches. And nobody cared that they look rough, don't speak English, don't do the jobs as well as you could. But we are constantly in a, wheel trying to figure out how to build community generational wealth. But we have more resources than they have. We are more educated than they are. We're more successful peer-to-peer. But our wealth, generally, if it's created, lasts one generation. Because when we have an opportunity to invest in somebody who may not be as polished, because we've been indoctrinated by our counterparts' system, because we've been educated in their system, we are automatically taught to look at the imperfections in us so that we can shoot it down so they can stay ahead of us. But this kid here, Ricardo, he said, man, bunk that school system stuff. I know I can go out here and do some labor, and I know these people look down on that, but I know that's something gonna need to be done as long as they're in earth. Grass gonna need to be cut. Driveways gonna need to be washed. Leaves gonna need to be cleaned out the gutter, and this is beneath you, and I don't have a problem doing this job while you looking down on me, because I know you're gonna refer me to somebody else, and I'm gonna keep building up business, and then I'm gonna have a son, and I'm gonna teach him the same thing, and then all of a sudden, they're gonna be living in houses bigger than you. Tell me you don't know this video. And then you're going to cry, this is not fair. They're coming over the border. They're living in our communities. But what you forget and miss is that they remember what that statue in the harbor represents. Freedom. Give me your riffraff. Give me your worst. Give me your down, tired, and poor, and I will give you an opportunity that no country can ever give you. You can be a nobody. You can be a criminal, but you can come here and you can be free if you're willing to do the work and work the system and teach your kid how to do the same thing. And when your community pulls together and sacrifice, invest, you can multiply over generations. Thus, you can build community generational wealth. And none of them are frowning or upset that now they live in the biggest houses, drive the biggest cars, and take the best vacations. But you, looking at us, man, you ain't got your stuff in triple HD TV. Your outline should have been a bullet point versus a check mark. You know, your video on your resort, it just ain't audio is good, but you miss that I got the resort. You miss that I told you it's debt free. You miss that 3 years ago I showed you literally dirt, and today I show you 220 unit luxury residential resort with a raw commercial that we own, debt free, outright, no bank loans. You forget we show you townhouses. You forget we show you condominiums. You forget we show you ancillary businesses that we built from nothing. And you forget that we own it all. And all we do is say, hey, maybe treat us the way we treated Ricardo and offer to come along because we know you're going to take a vacation anyway. We know you're going to want to do a short-term stay. We know you're going to want to be a tourist. So instead of calling us or emailing us and say, can you recommend somebody else to us? How about call us or email and say, hey, DJ, how can I be the first one to stay in your resort? How can I be the first one to use your transportation service? How can I be the first one to use your tourism package? How can I be the first one to let you be my concierge and put my trip together? But you immediately, you'll jump over and go to the most opulent place and you will bring everybody over there. And y'all all will be happy. And y'all be shooting these great videos, drinking Dom Perignon and eating caviar and telling us all these great stories. And you will be the person that's making a little commission. And you'll be bringing hundreds of our people over there. And you'll be the one that owns nothing. Because you were too good to look past our imperfections, or we meet you at a conference and one of our corporate people made contact with you and he was in a business suit, you in a business suit, you start talking about some of the things we're doing. He said, hey, let me introduce you to a guy. He hops on the phone, he calls me and says, hey, come up here and meet this guy. You come up, you got your tablet because you want to do business, and the first thing you say, Dr. Smith, Engineer Williams, hey, what are you trying to sell me? Why are you trying to cold call me? But conversely, our counterpart will do the exact same thing. And you'll be listening. And you won't even check their resume. You won't even vet them. I can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. But then you're successful, you're going to have one generation of income, not wealth. See, here's the difference between income and wealth. Income means you can make 50 million, 100 million and be broke because you don't have wealth. See, here's what wealth is, ladies and gentlemen. Wealth is I have a business that makes millions of dollars that I can give to my son, my daughter, my grandson, my niece, my nephew. I have a couple of houses that have people in them. I don't have a bunch of houses, but I bought the house in the right neighborhood 20 years ago. Does this sound familiar, Tajir? I bought a house in Brooklyn. I bought a house in the Bronx in 1985 for $40,000, and now it's worth $1 million. It's paid for. I can give it to you. I have some renters in it, and it generates $10,000 a month net operating income. But you are the CEO of a Fortune 1000 company. You make $1 million a year. But let me ask you a question. Can you bequeath that job to your son or your daughter? Can you do like Mr. Sachs and say, hey, I'm going to have my son or my daughter come work for your counterpart that's Caucasian? No, you can't. But you know what I can do with my childhood friend, Clarence, who was a sales engineer for HP, who worked at Ford as a contractor under HP, who bought his first starter house. And then he and I built community generational wealth. Let me bring it fast forward to you. 2006, he has his first house that he bought, a very small house, just like most people, because he didn't have somebody that paid for his college. He had to pay for his college himself. Fortunately for him, he was academically sharp and he was a baseball star. So he not only got an athletic scholarship, he also got an academic scholarship at Purdue University, one of the top 10 engineering universities in the world. Him and his beloved wife get their first house. Now that they got a promotion, he wants to build his first home. DJ starts his own financial planning practice because DJ actually had that experience where Mr. White wanted him to train Mrs. White's daughter. DJ resigned. DJ said, I'm going to go get me a finance securities license because I got an accounting background and I'm a bet on black. So DJ, as Clarence starts working up the ladder in corporate America, working for HP, but on the Ford project, he's growing, DJ's growing. DJ starts building clients that look like white people in the white community, because guess what? Mr. Engineer in my community, he won't let me manage his portfolio. These are facts. So I go from my community, which is a nice, solid, middle-class black community in Chicago, in Hyde Park, and I got to go up to the north side and get business from white people. I don't have a problem with it. Guess what? They had a group where only one professional could represent one industry, and you had to be vetted, and you had to be the best of the best, and you had to be recruited, or they had to endorse you to invite you in to the group. So I go to this community called Edgewater, and I actually saw an ad in the Chicago Tribune. They were looking for financial planners to interview. Tajir, real story. A cold lead. I had my license, start building my practice throughout my church and everything, but I needed to make more money because a lot of brothers and sisters, they either wouldn't work with me or they just didn't have enough money for me to support my family. I can't make this up, ladies and gentlemen. So I go to Edgewater, I interview. I'm the only person that looks like us that they interview. Guess what? I'm the sharpest one. And guess what they're only interested in? Who's the sharpest? They're not interested in the color of my skin. They're interested in the competency, the expertise, and what I can do for them. So they immediately look past my skin color was not even a problem for them. They just look, damn, this is the sharpest dude. So they vet me. I go through the trial, probation, and I make it through. So now I start working with a guy named Greg. I start working with a guy named Paul. These are all white guys. They all represent different industries in this professional network that you got to pay fees every month to go. So I'm literally, Tajir, I'm driving every week 2 times a week. Friday morning, the meeting is at 8 a.m. What do you know about me in terms of what type of sleeper I am? Am I a morning or a night person?
Night.
Night person, ladies and gentlemen. I don't go to bed before 1, 2 o'clock in the morning most times. So I am driving from the south side of Chicago all the way up north in the dead of the winter. You can't be late to these professional meetings. Started at 8 a.m. Snow, traffic. So I literally have to leave my house at 6 a.m. I drive up there because as an organization, you guys know what I'm talking about. You have to give professional leads to everybody in the group. How to build community generational wealth. So guess what? I showed them. Pull up the big screen. I showed them, Tajir, the Learning Institute for Financial Education and Family Finance 101. So when it came my time for me to do my presentation to the group, they all have to legally listen to my presentation. So guess what they also had to do? They had to participate in my program to make sure it was good enough for them to refer it to their network. I do a presentation to 15 professionals, and I'm not thinking any of them are going to buy my stuff. Guess what, Tajir? Greg buys my program. Paul buys my program. Susan buys my program. Anthony buys my program. Dude, I am blown away. About 80% of them, Tajir, bought my program. And they were all 6-figure white people. And I had something that none of them had. And matter of fact, one guy who was an attorney, he used to be the financial planner, but now he just became the attorney, and he had more security license than I did. He said, man, DJ, your program is phenomenal for families. I end up getting close to $1 million of investments, Tajir, in just 2, maybe 3 months. And they start referring me to their churches, to their businesses, to their corporations. I can't make this up. I end up getting Edgewater Presbyterian Church. All these churches. I end up getting into the Lutheran Church. First time I saw a woman as a pastor, Dr. Kathy, not only did all of her clergy, her husband was a theologian, did all his. Then I found out about Thrivent, which is a Lutheran financial service company. I got all their business because Thrivent couldn't even do what I did, break down and tell them how policies work. And I got the receipts to prove it. How to build community generational wealth. And guess what, Tajir? After all the white professionals started cutting videos for me and talking about how great I was, guess what? Who started knocking on my door?
The black professionals. Oh, hey, man, you still have that thing going on? I think I need some money to be managed. Yeah, bro, you know, I've always believed in you. Well, when can we work? I need to talk to you as soon as possible now, man. Yeah, I always knew I just been busy, but I'm going to make time now.
Yep. So now I didn't forget the story I was telling you about Clarence and me. So I had built up enough revenue because this was a commission job. I didn't get a salary. This is straight. You financial planners know until you have succeeded and made a lot of assets under management, do they start giving you salaries and stuff like that. I was on straight up commission, ladies and gentlemen. So now I opened up my first little office in the hood on 39th and Pershing. And God bless my mentor who passed away by COVID, Harold Davis Jr. He had a building, How to Build Community Generational Wealth. He allowed me to rent out an office at half the price, Tajir. And you know why? Because I met his wife in one of my classes on the West Side and helped his wife mother out, did a great job for her when the Roth IRA was new and nobody really knew what a Roth IRA was. This is 2002, brother. Roth IRA only came out in 1998. White people, black people thought it was a scam. Is the Roth IRA powerful now in 2024?
Highly.
Am I dating myself? So yeah. I sit down with his wife. First referral is to her mother. Take care of her mother, transfer her stuff over to a Roth IRA, get her the right insurance, get her house refinanced, get it paid off. And then Monica says, I need you to meet my husband, DJ. His name is Harold. I sit down with Harold. Unbeknownst to me, don't even realize that Harold had taken the CPA exam. Harold's a low-key, don't say much, showed him the stuff. Harold said, hey, man, I got $100,000. I need you to invest because I showed him insurance that he didn't know how it worked, and I explained it to him, and he knew the numbers. He right there on the spot, I need you to invest $100,000 for me. Harold became my mentor. Harold, How to Build Community Generational Wealth. I was leaving the company that I got into for that. He said, what can I do for you, DJ? I said, well, hey, you know what? I need to open up my own financial planning practice. He said, what do you need? I said, Harold, I need $20,000. This is 2003. He gave me $20,000 to start the Ransburg International Financial Planning Practice. Then he gave me office space. Now, fast forward back to Clarence. Clarence in Detroit, doing his thing, gets his house that he's going to build from his starter house. Clarence doesn't know how mortgages work. I know how mortgages work. Clarence gets caught in between a bridge loan. A bridge loan, ladies and gentlemen, it generally pays the existing mortgage on the house you're selling so that you don't have two mortgages when the new house is complete if you can't sell it. That falls apart. Clarence is caught with two payments. He's struggling a little bit. So he's trying to get rid of the house. Fortunately for Clarence, his wife's salon hairstylist wants to rent out the house. They rent out the house, takes over the burden for Clarence's mortgage. All of a sudden, a light bulb goes off. You know what, Dale? I'm an engineer. I can do this. Clarence calls me. He said, hey, man, I just bought a house on auction. I'm going to fix it up. Clarence fixes it up. He has a little money. Clarence runs into capital challenges. Hey, DJ, man, I need some capital. Clarence, I've been knowing you since you're 13. I got about 30, 40 clients. Let's put a meeting together. How to build community generational wealth. Clarence, I will endorse you to my clients, Black clients specifically, and we will raise money to help you buy the next house. How to build community generational wealth. We start building houses. We start financing houses. We're doing hard money lending. I'm not involved in that yet. We're working with white companies. They're giving us these hard money loans to do the construction. I'm getting the clients to buy the houses from Clarence. We're in Southfield, Michigan. 2 years into the deal, we may have done about 15, 20 houses. We're sitting across these two white boys, at least a decade younger than us. They're showing us the portfolio to more of what they call REO houses to sell us. I said, hold up, Biff. I said, hey, I need some clients. Biff starts laughing. I said, what's so funny? I said, we done moved about 20 hard money loans at like 12, 14%. You're making a ton of money. I'm just asking you to give us some referrals so people can buy them houses that we getting from your REO and we're paying you the hard money. You think that shit funny? I looked at Clarence. I said, get up. We out of here. Clarence said, oh man, we can't leave. This is my hard money lender. I said, and this is my show. I said, it will be hell on earth before I give another one of these motherfuckers another one of my dimes. I said, they don't have a problem taking our money for hard money, loans, and giving us their bullshit REOs, but they got a problem referring us clients. I said, get your ass up. We out of here. How to build community generational wealth. Walked right outside. We in Southfield, right off of Telegraph. I hop on the phone. I call Harold Davis. Hey, Harold, I need to finance this project up in Detroit. I call my other mentor. I need to finance this project in Detroit for my homeboy because we ain't going to be getting snowballed again by these MFs. We drive down to Chicago, sit down with Harold and my other mentor, show him our little rough project because Clarence is not a master at building. He's getting these auction houses and he doesn't know everything. Some stuff is not working. Some of it looks a little raggedy, but Clarence is determined to be better because he is an engineer. I didn't look at the fact that, you know what, his carpet wasn't, Burberry. I didn't look at, he didn't have, marble countertops. You know what I looked at, Tajia? The ROI, baby. Damn, Clarence. You making 40% ROI? 60% ROI? You got people renting out these cribs before the units are even finished? You got a little waiting list? Shoot, man, come on now. So guess what? Harold said, hey, man, looks good. I've already backed DJ. If you really believe in this, put your own money in. How to build community generational wealth. See, he didn't handicap us. He said, I'm not going to give you a fish. I'm going to teach you how to fish. I already buffered you, invested in your business, DJ. This is your homeboy. So guess what, DJ? You need to invest in his business. So guess what I did, ladies and gentlemen? I went and took a home equity line of credit in 2006 on my crib, pulled out 50 racks, got another client of mine named Alan. He gave me 50 racks. We put that together. We became the hard money lender. How to build community generational wealth. Fast forward now. 2006. It's now 2024. Let's move back 6 years to 2018. Let me show you the power of how to build community generational wealth. Clarence's son graduates from college. Clarence, each year, from his son high school through college, gets his son one auction house per year. Clarence's son, at the young age of 21, have 6 to 8 houses, making $6,000 to $10,000 in passive income. Do y'all hear me? Clarence's son is sharp, plays basketball on scholarship, getting job offers in the financial industry, goes to 2 job interviews. They offer him the job, I don't know, 65, 75 grand. Clarence's son said, wait a minute, you telling me I got to work 60 hours a week for you to pay me $6,000 a month? He said, I'm already getting paid that with the houses that my father and my father's friend helped build. Why would I come work for you when I can work 10 hours a week and build my own stuff? How to build community generational wealth. He never worked. He worked in his dad's business. Guess what? His dad friend did. Just like my mentor did for me. He didn't look at, oh, DJ, you can't afford to be, on Magnificent Mile, open up an office in the financial district. I will help you out because you're sharp. I see your vision. I will invest in you, pay it forward. Do y'all get my drift? So now my son is getting out of school and we're done the same thing. And now guess what, guys? Clarence and I together, primarily Clarence, because I kind of pulled out and started investing in Zanzibar. I used to own over 10 plus properties with Clarence. In addition to becoming his mortgage banker, I became a mortgage banker and not only did the hard money loans in our own community, I did the traditional 30-year loans. How to build community generational wealth. So Clarence and his beloved wife, they now own, operate, and manage because we work together, created a construction company, created a real estate company, created a property management company, created an estimate company. Are y'all following me? Didn't let any dollar get out of the community because I taught Clarence how to do that. So now collectively, Clarence and his beloved wife manage some of my properties, and his whole portfolio is over a couple of hundred houses. And guess what, guys? All paid for. No loans. I'm going to say that again. All paid for. All loans. And guess what, Tajir? A lot of the bougie black people, every time we showed them the portfolio, the first thing they would say, man, you want me to buy a house in that unsafe neighborhood? You want me to Section 8 my house? Man, get me a house in Palmer Woods. Get me a house in Grosse Pointe. They want to buy the $500,000-$600,000 house with a 6% return on margin versus one on 7 Mile in Livernois that's getting a 60% return because, hey man, I don't want to be associated with that. But guess what, Clarence? Guess what, Tasha? They didn't have to do nothing. All they had to do is have the money. We handled everything in collected check form. They pay for it cash, 1/10 of the value, but got 10, 20x more than what they had. Unbelievable. These people would look down on us because we were showing pictures of the houses. Oh my goodness. No, man, I passed. But when they saw the P&L and the spreadsheet, oh man, yeah, man, but you know what, man, before I invest, I need to see the property. And we knew they were going, as soon as we show them the property, oh no, man, thank you, man, I'll pass. But now that portfolio, folks, generates $1 million a year in passive income. That portfolio, folks, is worth over 8 figures. And the most important part, ladies and gentlemen, all debt free. So while you are looking down on the imperfections and not looking at the spreadsheet, you're missing the opportunity to build community generational wealth. That's how to do it. So with that, we've run over. I got people blowing up my phone. I hope you learned something from this. Don't be Mr. Doctor, engineer, look down. Look at the stake. Look at the business plan. Look at the resume of that person. Look at what they accomplished in corporate America before they went in business for themselves. Look at the counterparts, the Fortune 500 companies who hire them. Look at, we still have a limited resource pool to pull from. So when they show it to you, look beyond the imperfections and look at the baby. And if they got their demographics right, they got their case studies right, and they're clear, sharp professionals, bet on them, because Ricardo, who has no education, at 22, he's got 70 clients that he's going to make $250,000 this year, and he is a third generation immigrant that's going to be a millionaire by the time he's 30. How to build community generational wealth, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, On behalf of Tajir Green, who is the president of our international corporation in Zanzibar that has 8 figures in debt-free hard assets, that's going to produce 7 figures in residual income because he was on Wall Street in the private equity, the youngest of anybody in a private equity department, teaching his bosses how to do their jobs the right way. I was smart enough to lure him away from his 6-figure income to come work on this project that's debt-free. And he was smart enough to take the jump with me because he knew the numbers because he's worked in the industry. On behalf of Nick Westbrooks, our business manager who's on his way to Zanzibar, I'm DJ the Money Coach. You're watching Family Finance Friday, and today's subject is the most important one you will ever hear about: how to build community generational wealth. So we wish you a POM POM lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. And we want you to take a bite out of Zanzibar. Buy 100 acres of real estate. Invest in the ancillary businesses that generate a $1.3 billion ecosystem that will reproduce $430 million worth of residual income by 2027, and travel exclusively and experience a bucket list trip with DJ the Money Coach. So come join us on the beaches of the World Club in Zanzibar, and we hope you like this message. Please share, subscribe. I forgot what the other one
like,
is.
like, comment, subscribe, share.
So we're going to leave you with our website, Escape to Zanzibar, the link. We're open for business. And please do me a favor. Don't email me. Don't call me to ask me for a recommendation, but email and call me to say, hey, I would like to book a trip. I would like to invest, and I would like for you to help me to build community generational wealth, and I will provide that with you. But if you ask me the other one, I will politely tell you I don't have nothing but what we have. God bless, and we'll see you next week.